One moment, folks. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC here in a moment. But first, as usual, the disclaimers and the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be right there in the description box for you, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive, where literally we have all the receipts in regards to the JRC and the absolutely barbaric form of treatment they've been engaging in for over 40 years. We're talking about all the way back to court transcripts that from California, that when they were the BRI, the Behavioral Research Institute, they were banned from the state of California. So, if you want to dig in and get in further, there's not a better resource out there in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, either for our side or even for theirs, because we include their so-called receipts too. And we also have the article written by Neuroclastic. You remember the one that Judge Rotenberg Educational Center threatened them with a defamation lawsuit over it. In that article, they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC so-called Behavior Modification Program. Very obviously, Neuroclastic did not take that article down from their website. So folks, please read that article and share it on all your social media. We do have Neuroclastic's GoFundMe also linked up in there as well in case the JRC proceeds through with their threat, because unlike them, we do not have constant access to unlimited streams of money. Trigger warnings: when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you do got young children present, please utilize the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. So where we left off, prepared for the gaslighting, because it's all the JRC does. Gaslighting, horrifically never-ending run-on sentences, and victim blaming. The FDA also does not explain why these patients should be foreclosed from successful treatment and left to suffer continuing self-injury simply because the FDA deems it's difficult for these patients to communicate potential adverse effects. My God, you all are tone deaf. That is not what it boils down to, and they know it too. So, let's go back and discuss in brief exactly why they issued the final ban in 2020, shall we? Let's start with A. You cannot consider something successful treatment if they are removed from said device and the behaviors come back as though they never left. How can you actually call that successful? Well, the behaviors didn't happen when they were on the device. Please stop smoking crack. Explain to me, like I'm 5, why the JRC absolutely insists on the suffering of their patients. Let me tell you what I mean here. In the JRC's mind, there's only two options. Suffer abuse at their hands, or suffer abuse at our own hands. And they don't want to hear any evidence, logic, reasoning, or data otherwise. Kind of like most true believers, it doesn't matter how much hard, cold evidence you pile in front of them and place in front of their eyes. There is always some bizarre, obscure conspiracy theory that they can spin to explain why that's not really cold, hard evidence. Or in the JRC's case, it's always stick their fingers in their ears, stomp their feet like toddlers, and hum scream, and then repeat the same recycled garbage without answering literally any of the challenges that have been brought up to their program for over the last 40 years. It's copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And as we've gone back all the way back to the 70s, and we've seen literally, folks, literally the exact same defense that they used in the 70s is still exactly what's being used now, while pretending no challenges have been made to their word salad. Nobody's impressed, especially not me. So, if your device does nothing in the grand scheme of things to actually really get at the root cause of what's causing the behaviors, and in a sane manner that the rest of the world uses, find ways to work on those triggers, and then there would be a natural decrease in said behaviors. The JRC insists that they should be able to either be shocked every day for the rest of their lives, or they're going to abuse themselves, and that there's no in between. There's nothing else that works. It's stupid, it's nuts, it's so anti-science, I can't even see straight. Okay? That is not at all, in actuality, a fact. How do I know this? Because I've been in contact, many of us have, with many of the survivors of the JRC. One of the primary folks that are known within the Stop the Shock community is Jennifer Masamba. Jennifer Masamba is an accomplished classical guitar player. She is a member of Mensa. She currently is in an assisted living program and has her staff with her at all times. And her improvements have been leaps and bounds after leaving that hellhole. Okay? I see her videos. I subscribe to her YouTube. She is extremely intelligent. She has a very, very good grasp on the service system and how it should run, and what happens when things like this are allowed to go on with impunity for decades. But the JRC would have us believe that she was just so out of control that the only thing that would work is replace her self-abuse with a human shock collar so that they'll be the abusers instead. If it sounds nuts, folks, that's because it's nuts. Okay? We'll start there. She is one of many examples that show me, in actuality, that yes, the other standard programs can help these kids. That if you are willing to step back and get that full functional behavioral assessment done, so that all adequate information that would assist in making an educated decision in regards to treatment programs is at the fingertips, you are going to be having the power to make much better decisions and get your patient to a program that will actually assist with their very specific needs. But the JRC wants you to believe that that isn't possible. Well, folks, look up Jennifer Masumba's YouTube channel. Don't take my word for it. Go ahead and check it out. I think it might even be somewhere inside the description box, because living evidence caught on camera begs to differ. Number 2, in regards to communicating potential adverse effects. That is just one of many reasons why the FDA made the determination that the risks were not worth the extremely limited benefits. The other things that factored in regards to that decision is the risks that have already become reality, such as the video surveillance tape of what those evil bastards did to Andre McCollins back in 2002, along with the ER documentation of where he spent 2 solid months in a catatonic coma after being subjected to being tied face down on a 4-point board with a noise-canceling helmet put over his head and shocked over 31 times within a 7-hour period. Oh, but that's just the beginning. We also have the records in regards to how those GEDs are misused and what kind of damage they can cause physically to the body, in regards to an incident that happened later in 2006, where a former resident called into the school pretending to be a manager, where it forced 2 kids who were supposedly being faded off the GED to go grab those kids, do the exact same thing to them that they did to Andre McCollins, but worse. Each of them got shocked 71 times. 71 times. That is the particular incident that was the straw that broke the camel's back and brought in that group from the New York State Department of Education, as well as DDS, that came together in that committee that I always call when things go wrong, and they started doing their unannounced visits. That the JR screamed, "This is not fair, this is not fair, this is not fair. Your existence as a school is not fair and affront to me and every single other autistic and otherwise neurodivergent or folks with mental health issues that have ever lived." You don't see me bitching about it. Well, I guess you do, but you see my point, right? We have video surveillance footage from the Andre McCollins incident, from the incident where those 2 kids were shocked 71 times each. We have the absolute insane laundry list of safety issues, fire hazards, food hazards, on top of the abuse, on top of these bizarre reasoning where if a person stands up for 3 seconds, it means they might get aggressive. That requires a shot that's 3 times more powerful than a police taser. Yeah, that also factored in. The other ER documents provided by other survivors, not all provided names, because we all know how the JRC likes to try to intimidate people into silence, that came forward with their ER documentation and ER photos to back up their stories in regards to their injuries they received while being forced on that device. Also used was some of the JRC's own paperwork in regards to the malfunctions of the GED device, where due to, I personally think, allegedly, we'll say allegedly, that forcing someone to wear an electronic device like that into a shower. Well, you can hold it out so it doesn't get wet. It's going to probably cause items to malfunction. There's no way to guarantee to keep all water from messing up the device. Okay? It's insane you make them wear that in the shower. It is absolutely insane. That's stupid with a capital S. Okay? And that means it will continue to go off and off and off and off and torturing that person right in front of you over and over and over again, which we have your own documentation, JRC, to that effect. So, and not just that either, but in regards to risks of the psychological nature, such as post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorder, extreme clinical depression, have also been reported by survivors having been diagnosed by neurologists, psychiatrists, and psychologists, with way more letters behind their name than any so-called professional that is getting their checks signed by the JRC. So no, JRC. The final ban that was put through in 2020 was not simply due to some folks have difficulty communicating in regards to the adverse effects. We also have the adverse effects that actually have taken place. The ER documentation and photos to back it up, and your own video surveillance footage to back it up as well. Which means these are not potential risks, these are risks that have already occurred and have a very long documented history. From patients that get sent from your school into the ER. That's not counting the 6 dead kids that they have on their hands. Okay? Not only do they gaslight, they are absolutely terrible at it. Just terrible at it. Mother of God. Let me continue here. Nor does the FDA explain why it presumes intellectually disabled individuals will be able to communicate adverse effects from, for example, pharmacological interventions, but not ESDs. Where did they say that? Can you point to me where they actually said that, JRC? Where did they say that? Where? Where does it say that? Oh yeah, that's right. Nowhere. The FDA at no point in time insinuated that. What they were pointing out is some folks who are on the device were able to vocally communicate in a way neurotypicals can understand their distress and the adverse effects that they were receiving from the device. But the nonverbals had a little bit more difficulty. That is quite literally all they said in regards to the matter. They were incorrect? Yes. But that's all they said. What you're trying to infer is something completely different. It reminds me of the meme back when Twitter was still Twitter, where they were kind of say, Twitter's the only place where you can type something like, I love waffles, and somebody comes behind. You mean you hate all pancakes, you pig? Same thing. Same thing. Like that is a complete, utter, whole different sentence. What in the name of blue fuck are you even talking about? Okay? They never insinuated that whatsoever. Regards to pharmacological interventions, You all do nothing but lie when you talk about the current state of pharmacological therapy. Constantly. 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 All the time. Is Big Pharma corrupt? Yes. That is why they have established such rigorous testing when it comes to their medications. Because these individuals are greedy as hell. The last thing they want to do is being shilling out billions of dollars due to bad medication that was not tested as thoroughly as it should be before it was approved to go on the market. They're trying to make money, not set it on fire. Best way to make money is to make sure before putting something out on the market that it gets tested within an inch of its life first, and then have those results replicated by other research centers and institutes in regards to the medication. Pill trials, for example. Okay? But they have consequences too. Speaking of those consequences, the most common ones are pretty much the ones everybody gets. Stomach upset, a little bit of irritability, maybe some issues in regards to being overly hungry or completely losing one's appetite. It's more on the lesser end. Usually, when we're talking about the more possible severe side effects that the JRC tries to hammer home, you're talking about a percentile of the population that's sitting at 0.01. Means the individuals that do suffer from the more severe side is so small in number, it's almost non-existent. But the JRC is not going to tell you that. They're just going to tell you all that they usually do and provide for you absolutely zero context. In fact, most folks that rail against Big Pharma as though they are the big evil boogeyman will also not tell you the entirety of the context in regards to the more severe reactions. Why do they do that? Because they got a product to sell. If they can sell you on the paranoia, then they can push some alternative pseudoscience nonsense in your general direction in the same way that would make the snort oil salesman of old feel proud. Okay? So yeah, that entire small paragraph was full of just hot air stupidity and migraine-inducing run-on sentences. But what else can we expect from these people, right? All right, we're going to go ahead and close on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all here in a minute. Bye-bye, everyone.